This is my journey to become the champion of Paldea, using only 6 new Pokemon and no guides. I start as a white boy named Joe because that's basically who I am. But there is one big difference between this avatar and me. I wouldn't be caught dead wearing orange short shorts. It's like I'm back in middle school PE, which I guess I kind of am. I find my mom doing dishes and she's surprised that I'm already in my school uniform. Yeah, I'm super excited about wearing it, that's for sure. Just then, the doorbell rings and it's the director of my school. It turns out he personally visits every incoming student, which seems cool and all, until he and my mom banish me to my room. That's a bit suspicious. Back downstairs, Director Clavel casually tosses 3 Pokeballs at once, releasing the starters. Prior to buying the game, I had already decided who I wanted to pick, but I can't actually do that yet. Instead, I have to walk these Pokemon to a ginormous mansion across the way. Basically, I'm 5 minutes into this game and already have an escort quest. When I get to the mansion, we have a few cutscenes showing off the natures of these Pokemon. The water duck is glamorous, of course. The flower kitten is flowery, I suppose. And the fire croc is just a bit derpy. I also meet my rival, Nemona. Naturally, I choose the croc because I always pick the fire starter, since they're the best. Even though Nemona already has Pokemon, she gets greedy and wants another Pokemon, taking the grass kitten. Conveniently, this beach has a huge Pokemon stadium. Crazy how nature made that. So we can try out our new Pokemons. She sends out Sprigatito against my Fire Gible, and I, being a veteran Pokemon player of many decades, am able to deduce that Ember is the correct move here. Nemona seems to agree. So, after 2 Embers, I win my first Scarlet Poke Battle. That was easy. Turns out, my rival is a champion-ranked trainer. In other words, she's already beaten the Elite Four. Dang, girl! This champion-ranked trainer still uses Pokeballs, for some reason, but she gives me a few and throws me up against a Lechonk. Even though I'm limiting myself to only 6 Pokemon, I had already decided to catch this pig, and that's just what I do. Welcome to the team, Lechonkies. This name comes from a Fire Red mod that I created where I put Lechonk into Kanto, just for funs. You should check it out. I then hear a weird noise, which turns out to be a legendary Pokemon picked on by some Houndours. He proceeds to yell so loudly that the ground collapses underneath me. Thankfully, my Rotom Foam saves me from imminent death. Can your iPhone do that? I think not. In order to help this poor hurt little Pokemon, I do what literally anyone else would do in this same situation, and that is give him my sandwich. It reminds me of that children's book. If you give a legendary Pokemon a sandwich, he'll be your friend forever. Until he changes form, albeit barely, allowing him to walk on 2 legs and ditches me to enter a cave. Well, that was rude. I follow him like a lost puppy, and we quickly get surrounded by a pack of little Houndours again. Corden very quickly snags me and jumps out of the cave. Those were some nice hops. Hopefully he doesn't lose that ability almost immediately. Aw man. We meet up with Arvin, the professor's son in this region, who already knows all about Corden. He gives me a special Pokeball to keep him in. So, I imprison this legendary Pokemon, but I am not granted the right to use him in battle. On my way to the huge castle that just so happens to be my school, I learn about the auto battle feature, where you can send out your Pokemon to seek out and destroy anything in its path. While it's not perfect, and I'll explain some of the issues a bit later, it's a relatively fast and easy way to get experience and dropped items, so that's pretty nice. In front of the gate to Mesagosa, the biggest city in this region, Nemona shows up again, and after getting like 200 feet apart, that seems a bit overkill, we begin another fight. We start with our fighters, and obviously, mine wins in 2 Embers. Out comes her Palmy, who is yet another Pikachu knockoff. Nemona throws a black Pokeball that terrestrializes her Pokemon, which makes it become a single type. This is generally, but not always, one of the types this Pokemon already had. Lechonkies then proceeds to die in just 2 hits. That's rough, buddy. Fire Gible comes out and barely manages to defeat this Chef Hat Pokemon. Mesagosa is a huge city with so much to do, but I'm on a time crunch, so I head to the school real quick. After beating up a Team Star grunt, that is. But that's not what this video is about, so who cares? In class, I have to face every middle schooler's greatest fear: answering questions in front of the class. Yikes. Okay, so here's where the game introduces you to the branching options, which I'm sure we already know what they are, but let me go over them very briefly. I can either help out this weird kid, who needs a haircut by the way, gather some herbs, obey this mysterious voice coming from my phone telling me to destroy Team Star, which is called Operation Starfall, an awesome name by the way, or do the normal thing and defeat 8 gym leaders to become a Pokemon League champion. Apparently in this region, there is more than one champion, which kinda dilutes the awesomeness of it a bit, but still. For my first playthrough, I decided to do what I'm most familiar with, and that is be the very best, like no one ever was. I then face every middle schooler's second greatest fear, getting called to the principal's office. Uh-oh, someone's in trouble. Turns out the director just wanted to set up a Zoom call with Professor Sada, who knows all about Corridon. She explains that it must have been hurt in battle, and while it can't fight, it can still be my chauffeur. Nice. Exhausted from that riveting conversation, I go to sleep for the night and wake up several days or even weeks later. That was abrupt. With the end of the semester jumping out at me, it's time for all of us kids to venture out into the world without any adult supervision. All they say is that it's a treasure hunt. Trying to trick me into being a pirate, eh? Once again, people try to fight over me and tell me where to go, but I already have everything planned out, kind of. On my way to the first gym, which you can do in any order, by the way, that's cool, I see a bright light. So naturally, I go towards it, only to discover that it's a crystal Diglett who just so happens to be level 17. My level 9 Lechonkies poses no threat, and using my own crystal Pokemon, Fire Gible, still dies very quickly. Well, for my first loss of the game, it's pretty embarrassing that it was to a wild Pokemon, but hey, it's not a Nuzlocke so it doesn't really matter. Oh, and I gave the Diglett some money for winning, apparently. With that horrible experience behind me, I get to the first gym. But before facing any gym leader, you must first pass a gym test. This one consists of me pushing an olive, bigger than I am, by the way, through an obstacle course. After my first, very sad push, I decide to cheat by riding Corridon so I can just push the olive over the walls, because he can jump and I can't. I blow through this course and half thought they would call me a cheater for that, but guess not. After legitimately passing the test, I get to meet Caddy, who is very impressed with my olive rolling skills. Too bad I don't get a chance to use them very often. I chose her as the first gym because she has bug Pokemon, so I feel confident that Fire Gible can win. Still, I leave with Lechonkies to see what he can do. And that's a whole lot of nothing. He barely survives a double kick from Nimble, hits a super weak tackle, and then dies. That was effective. Because I have no reason not to, I crystallize my Croc, which gives his fire moves an extra boost. The Nimble quickly falls to an Ember, and his Tarantula falls in 2. Last, I'm expecting a Paldean bug, but instead she sends out a Teddiursa? I didn't see that coming. This Teddiursa gets Crystal Antenna and becomes a bug type. Okay, and this is what Game Freak meant by saying that Pokemon can have up to 3 stab types. Anyway, since he's only 2 levels higher, I think I can take him. But he quickly disabuses me of that notion by furiously swiping my face. And I lost my first gym battle. That was fantastic. By the way, I gave Caddy the same amount of money as I gave that Diglett. I just thought that was funny. I don't play favorites. After my loss, I find a poor defenseless little family of Smoliv and a massacre ensues. Do you see what you've driven me to, Caddy? This is on your head. After gaining a few levels and destroying a few families, we return to the gym and I have to endure the same opening cutscene. I guess it's my punishment for losing. This time, I leave with a Crystal Fire Gible who one-shots the Nimble as well as the Tarantula, bringing out my nemesis, the Bugbear, who immediately gets a 5-hit Fury Swipes, so I'm probably going to lose again. But for some reason, he hits with a Fury Cutter instead, allowing me to survive and finish off the bear with an Ember. I thought the Bug Gym would be simple with a fire Pokemon, but I guess not. Oh, did I mention that Caddy is a baker? For my victory, she gives me some cupcakes, and we take a selfie. After a bit of planning and map looking, I see that the gym nearest me is the Psychic one, so let's give it a shot. But first, I encounter a level 23 Pawnee. I typically get a new electric Pokemon towards the start of each generation, like Pikachu, Mary, or Shinx, so Pawnee should be a great addition to the team. And she's like 7 levels higher than my highest Pokemon right now. Now Pikachu has Natural Cure, which I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest, but it is what it is. By the way, I obviously have no idea if or when my guys evolve, so here's hoping they actually do. The slight issues with Auto Battle rear their stupid heads. Leveling up purely with that method, Fire Gible reaches level 18 and still hasn't evolved. As a veteran Pokemon player, this seems like an issue. It turns out that Pokemon can't actually evolve when leveled up in Auto Battle, nor do they learn new moves. So I pick on this Skiddo, reach level 19, where Gible finally evolves into Crocolore, who looks way derpier than Fuenco ever did. As far as not learning new moves, that's not a huge deal because you can remind your Pokemon of any move at any time in the menu. According to my map, this is the way to get to the Psychic Gym Leader, but after wandering around inside for a while, I can't find the second exit, or at least not one that I can access. So I tell myself that maybe after a few gyms, Corden will recover and get good at jumping again. For now, that gym leader is safe, and I realize I went on a wild Goosarine chase. I'm basically now in the middle of nowhere. At one point, as I'm exploring with Lechonki's, he finds a horde of Ultra Balls or something. I just keep getting one after another. Did I break the game here? All told, he somehow found 55 Ultra Balls, and bear in mind, I only have one badge right now. That was legit. The next gym test consists of finding 10 Sunflora in a hide and seek game, during which Pikachu does evolve into an electric fighting type. I'm not mad about that. I guess he's not just a Pikachu clone. I meet the grass gym leader, Brassius, who jumps down from a windmill several stories high, which is impressive until he admits he was just up there to spy on me during my Sunflora test. Well, that took a turn. To teach this creep a lesson, I rely on a very complicated strat. I send out the newly evolved Fire Gible to one-shot his first 2 Pokemon with Embers. I had to rack my brain for that one. Last is the Sudowoodo, who I assume will become grass type after terastallizing, but he still survives the hit. He does get burned, and after doing 4 whole damage to me, he falls and I win my second badge. That was way easier than the first. And just like before, I take a selfie with this artiste to showcase my victory. I then meet Hassel of the Elite Four, and I'm guessing he uses either normal or flying Pokemon. The only noteworthy thing about this guy is how he waddles away after our conversation. Did he never learn how to walk properly? Then I get my 4th encounter, a Paldean Tauros. Based on his appearance, I was hoping he was a dark type, but he's just fighting. Oh well. I get a bit too close to a Team Star base, causing Cassiopeia to call my phone again and urge me to destroy them all. My good friend Clive, who is most certainly not the school's director, shows up to lend me his support. But I'm not making any Star's fault today. Only gym leaders. Lechonki's shares my passion for overthrowing gyms and evolves into Oinkalone. Lechonki's is a much better name. It's at this point I decide to finally try a raid battle. And since I'm all alone, I have no one here beside me, the game takes pity on me and gives me some NPCs. Sadly, it's only temporary. These raid fights give some pretty good experience items though. As I'm all teed up to get another gym battle, Nimona shows up to distract me. She's following me at every gym, trying to stop me from becoming a better champion than her. Against her Rockruff, I swap to Buff Bull to tank a hit and kick the dog away. Her Pawnee comes out and also gets concussed from a kick. Because I'm on set mode, I bring out Fire Gible against Florigato, which is a pretty good name, by the way. She terastallizes her Pokemon, but it doesn't help as the Gato falls and 2 incinerates. I haven't played on Switch mode for so long, it's weird to now have the option to, read my opponent's minds somehow. The electric gym test consists of me joining Iono on her podcast stream thing. Basically, she's using her authority as a gym leader to force people to contribute to her lame content. That seems a bit unethical to me. I would never try to push my lame content at work, mostly because I work alone. This test ends up being a live stream of Where's Waldo, where I try to find director Clavel in random city settings. After expertly finding him a couple of times, and facing off against some random trainers in between, I pass the test and am ready to fight Iono. Until I see her creepy sharp teeth. That is terrifying. Oh, and she live streams our match too. Some people will do anything for views. They have no shame. Like, hypothetically speaking, of course, someone might play a brand new game for hours on end, followed by even more hours of editing to get a video out ASAP. Why someone would do something like that, I have no idea. Iono's first Pokemon already ruined my strat. I was hoping Lechonkies could just dig his way through her whole team, but I guess not. Still, I terrestrialize this guy for the first time and take out the Wattrel in a couple of covets. Against the Bellibolt, I can use Dig, though it doesn't do that much, and it apparently supercharged his Spark, which proceeds to do a ton to me and gets a paralysis. I decide to bring out Pikanu to finish him off with one last Dig. Deluxio's Intimidate is unfortunate, but he still falls in 2 digs. Now it's time for her ace, a Miss Magius, who, as you guessed, becomes electric type, and this Miss Magius proceeds to take out half of my team. After some switching around, I only have 2 Pokemon left alive. Pikanu makes the ultimate sacrifice to heal Lechonki's paralysis. I then have to use a Hyper Potion on my pig and re-ghostify this electric thing with a headbutt. Man, am I glad this isn't a Nuzlocke. Maybe next time. Iono then makes the classic content creator mistake of begging for subscribers. Again, she has no shame. Don't forget to subscribe to Nuzlocke Joe. Taking a long walk on a beach with Buff Bull on an adorable little floaty, I find Finicent, a freaking dolphin Pokemon. So obviously I catch her. How could I not? And soon after, I complete a 3-star raid battle and catch the Lokix, meaning I now have my full team of 6 Pokemon. After boosting On Purpose's level by 7 using experience items I got from raids, I realize it's a much faster way to train than the overworld massacres. I'll be doing a fair amount of raid battles that I don't show from now on. Oh yeah, and my Dark Bug is level 35, way higher than my other guys. I cross an entire desert and get to this oasis city, only to fall into the moat surrounding it. I still can't swim, not even in shallow water, so I have to take the bridge. Unfortunately, I get to the gym just in time for the water gym leader to book it all the way across the desert to another city, and his assistant wants me to follow him with his forgotten wallet. Okay, let's try this again. After toiling through this desert with no water for the 2nd time, I finally catch up to Kofu. It turns out that Kofu is here to buy some super rare seaweed from the Hoenn region. Having been there, I can confirm there is an awful lot of seaweed in Hoenn. So the real gym test is bidding on this seaweed. Kofu gives me 50,000 Pokédollars to get it. Man, this thing is rare. And that's exactly how much I spend to win my bidding war. At which point, he tells me I'm allowed to keep whatever is left. Gee, thanks, man. Since I've already been there, I can fly directly back to the previous city via flying taxi car that you only get to see in this loading screen. To prepare for the gym, I get Pikanu from level 28 all the way to level 36 just by using raid experience items. What'd I tell you? These things are great. As Kofu descends from the elevator, he is swarmed by people who want his help. Man, he is a super popular gym leader, even with his really weird facial hair. Like, what the heck is even going on there? Hopefully there's not a riot when I dethrone this guy. And I guess I leveled up a bit too much, because Pikanu is now 7 levels higher than Velusa. But that doesn't stop me from terrestrializing and killing with a Thunderbolt. Next is Wiglet's apparent evolution, Wugtrio, which is a fantastic name. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. Just say it, Wugtrio. Sounds wonderful. A single Thunderbolt knocks him out too. Last is Crabominable, who obviously becomes a crystal, survives a Thunderbolt, and kills me with a Crab Hammer. I bring out On Purpose for her first real fight and win in 2 acrobatics, though they do very little. With 4 gyms defeated, we're halfway to the Elite Four, and things will pick up quite a bit. But I am surprised that Corydon hasn't gotten any new abilities yet. I kind of assumed it would happen as you progress through any of the storylines, but that turned out to not be the case. After doing some more raid battles to level up, I very quickly get to the Medali Gym, where I find Nimona waiting for me, yet again. She agrees to postpone our fight until after I have the badge, and the gym test begins. Here, I need to gather clues and order a super secret menu item. It's not too bad. The gym fight, though, is another story. Larry, a most bland and normal looking guy, is the normal type gym leader. My plan here is pretty simple. I'm going to lead with Buff Bull to sweep his entire team. The plan immediately unravels though, as the koala uses Yawn as I work up. Perfect. A single double kick does take out the Kamala, but then I fall asleep as the Dunsparce shows up. Now I could use an item to wake myself up, but I forgot I could do that. Too many hardcore Nuzlockes, I guess. By the time I remember that's allowed, I actually need to heal because Dunsparce's Hyper Drill is doing a ton of damage. I eventually wake up and double kick the Dunsparce right out of town. After sending out his Staraptor, Larry requests some moral support from the room, and they begin to cheer as he terrestrializes his bird, who proceeds to take me out. Fire Gibble, who is 5 levels lower than the bird, manages to survive a facade, but does less than half with Incinerate before also dying. I send out Lil Bug, hoping I'll outspeed, but nope. I do a bit of damage with Lunge, and do lower his attack at least. Next, it's time for On Purpose. With the attack drop, I'm hoping to survive a hit, which I do, and respond with a pretty weak dive. But that's nothing compared to my next abysmal priority Aqua Jet. That was pathetic. So my Dolphin dies too. This bird is killing me, Smalls. Since Pikanu can't do anything here, it's all up to Lechonkies to tank a facade and kill with a Covet. Man, that was close. I thought I was going to lose another gym battle. With only a very brief rest, we now have to fight Nemona. I start off the same way as the gym fight, by terrestrializing and using a workup with Buff Bull. This lets me take out the Lycanroc without any issues. The Goomy and then the Pommo both die with Zen Headbutts. And then we see the Grass Starter's final form, Meowscarada, because she's a cat with a masquerade mask. This cat uses Flower Trick that just so happens to crit, but Buff Bull survives and Anger Point activates, maxing out his attack. Meaning the next double kick is more than enough to stomp the cat. You see, that is how the normal gym was supposed to go. A single Tauros fighting his way through the whole thing. After the fight, Greta, who is watching, introduces herself as the director of the Pokemon League, or something like that. I'm gonna guess she's probably the champion fight in this game. I traverse some ice-covered mountains and almost immediately get to the next gym, where Jacques was waiting for me. Pretty sure this guy was my teacher from the very beginning of the game, but I haven't been back at school since. Yeah, I'm probably failing all my classes, aren't I? Thanks for rubbing that in my face, Teach. MC Sledge, which is most certainly his given name, explains the next gym test. Here, I'm basically the opening act trying to get the crowd all riled up. And I do that by, you guessed it, Pokemon battles. Though these are the first double battles I've had in the entire game. Now, nothing interesting really happens here in these fights, besides perhaps Fire Gibble evolving at level 36. Too bad there's a spotlight blocking the way. He turns into Skeledirge. Not gonna lie, his appearance is pretty underwhelming to me, but his typing is awesome. A Fire Ghost? Holy crap, I did not see that coming. The last warm-up fight is against MC Sledge himself, but naturally, I sledge him up. His words, not mine. And the crowd goes wild. Some kid appears to challenge the gym leader, Rhyme, to a rap contest. But Rhyme does not look like a stereotypical rapper. I mean, she's so old. But I guess even old people can listen to rap music. After she wipes the floor with this kid, she tries to do the same to me. I probably should have realized it by now, but this is also a double battle. She uses Ghost Pokemon, so I lead with Lil Bug, who's dark, and Pikanu, who has Bite. Lil Bug takes out the Bayonet with a priority Sucker Punch, as Pikanu just breaks the Mimikyu's disguise with a Bite. For knocking out a Pokemon, the crowd gives me an attack and a special attack boost. That's awesome. Another Sucker Punch takes out the Houndstone, as Pikanu does very little to the Mimikyu. She sends out her ace, Toxtricity, as I get yet another attack boost. This is going rather well, I think. Rhyme raises a ton of Houndstones from the ground all around us as her Toxtricity becomes a Ghost type, and immediately dies to a Sucker Punch. Well, that was convenient. The Mimikyu still survives a Thunderbolt, but then I gang up on it and knock it out. That was so much easier than the last gym battle. After the fight, I again encounter Hassel of the Elite Four, who was ecstatic about my gym strategy. Apparently, using Sucker Punch on ghost Pokemon was a new thing to him or something. He also reminds me about that school I abandoned. What is with these people? There are more important things in life than education, like Pokemon battles, for example. The next gym is actually really close by, and it's still in the mountains. So I allow Fire Gible to defeat some random Pokemon along the way. After all, the upcoming gym is Ice type, so he needs to be in tip-top shape. Before I can try the gym though, I have another fight with Nemona. This is really simple, so I don't want to show it, except for one thing. She has a level 42 Pokemon called Palmot. This is obviously Pikanu's final form, so it looks like I have some training to do. Anyway, I kick her butt, and nobody even dies this time. After the fight, I level up Pikanu, and nothing happens. Huh. I'm already one level higher than her Palmot was, so maybe it's a Thunderstone evolution or something? Too bad I don't have one, and I'm not going to look at a guide to find out where to get one. The gym test consists of me snowboarding down the mountain on a motorcycle, because I'm just that cool. This actually reminds me of the Sonic Adventure snowboard level. Do you guys remember that one? Anyway, it's a simple test. What's not so simple, however, is the gym battle. The ice gym leader is Grusha, who I swear is a girl, but not according to Game Freak. This extraordinarily masculine man sends out a level 47 Frostmoth, which is already 5 levels higher than I am. I decide to start with a Crystal Torch Song to knock out the moth and get the attack boost. The Beartic falls to a Flamethrower. I have no idea who this is, but he outspeeds and almost kills with Liquidation. I pivot on purpose to tank the water move and hope to kill with a priority Aqua Jet, which I don't. Next turn I would, but he uses priority Ice Shard to take me out. Still, he's so close that Tauros can come out and survive an Ice Spinner to finish it off with a double kick. This brings out his ace, Altaria, who proceeds to outspeed and massacre my entire team. That was rough. Lechonki's does survive a few times because Altaria keeps missing, but he can't quite cross the finish line. So close. I decide to do some raids to gain experience, and I find Toadscruel, a variant of Tentacruel, who I catch because I want to, but he's not one of the OG 6, so I can't use him. After my horrific defeat, I return to Mesagosa City, but not to go back to school. That's for suckers who want to learn from their mistakes. Instead, I go shopping, where I get a Choice Scarf, Sweet, and a Thunderstone. Just what I needed. Unfortunately, the Thunderstone doesn't work on Pikanu, just like it didn't work on Ash's Pika Old. Oh well, maybe it's a friendship thing and he still hates me? I don't need him for this fight anyway. Back to Grusha, I give Fire Gible the Choice Scarf and use Torch Song to blow through his entire team. Oh, how the turntables have turned, Grusha. If he didn't crystallize his Altaria, he might have stood a chance, but nope. And then I force this guy to take a selfie with me, not taking no for an answer. Back in the gym building, I meet 2 new characters, one of which is an Elite Four member. Can you guess which one it is? Why, the little girl, of course. Why not let tiny kids have all-powerful monsters? So I've realized that Corden will not get any extra abilities through the gym battles, which means there must be another way to get to the Psychic Gym Leader. After all, it's the last gym that I have left. So I go to the opposite side of the mountain from last time, and I find a very safe looking path that only an idiot would fall from. Okay, only an idiot would fall from twice. That's what I meant. I only fell once. Anyway, this very inconvenient path takes me precisely where I need to go. And like always, I ignore everyone else and run straight to the gym, where Nemona was waiting for me. But this time, she doesn't want to fight. Instead, she's here to cheer me on. Well, that was a nice surprise. The last gym test is an exercise where I make faces at Medicham for some reason. This is what passes for exercise in Paldea? With this nonsense and everyone riding around on Pokecycles, I'm surprised we're not all super fat here. After burning a whole half calorie, it's time for the last gym battle. Tulip is the Psychic Gym Leader, and right off the bat, she tries to flirt with me, hoping that I'll go easy on her. But there's like a 20-year age gap here, so that's just creepy. Her first Pokemon, Farigiraf, already ruined my plan because I'm pretty sure he's a normal type, and I wanted to Choice Scarf Shadow Ball her whole team. I tried anyway, and it doesn't work. For plan B, I bring out Lilbug to tank a few crunches and respond with 2 lunges. And that's what a real workout looks like, by the way. For the Gardevoir, I bring Fire Gible back out and hope to kill with a Shadow Ball, which I don't, and then take a ton from her Psychic. Her bird-licking Pokemon, Espartha, might be Flying type, but only uses a Shadow Ball, which does nothing to Lil Bug. Her ace is Florges, who does survive a Sucker Punch and kills Lil Bug with a Moonblast. That's fine, because Fire Gible comes out to finish her off next turn with a Shadow Ball. I expected her to have a Medicham because they're right there behind her, but I guess not. And even though she thought I was cute, and we take a picture together, she doesn't want that selfie to end up on the interwebs. Apparently she's embarrassed by me. Nimona, who is not embarrassed by me, is super excited and says she'll be waiting at the Pokemon League. So, it's time to head back to Mesagosa City one last time. Before actually facing the Elite Four, I get interviewed by Rita. She asks me a bunch of simple questions, no problem, and then demands to know the name of the gym leader in some random city. Ugh, I don't know that. Basically, I failed. The journey's over, and I'm not worthy to face the Elite Four. Until I do the interview again 5 seconds later, and get the questions right this time. Though, Rika, make sure to point out my initial failure. Thanks for that. It's time for the Elite Four. I had hoped I would face Nimona one more time before these fights, so I could judge what level I should be at, but oh well. Rika pulls double duty and sends out a Wish Cache. That doesn't look too bad, until I see he's level 57, 13 levels higher than Lechonki's. So this is not going to work out. I do manage to defeat the Wish Cache and her camera up as well, but don't get past the Donphan. Okay, that was a bit tougher than I had hoped, so it's time to do some serious grinding. After being gone for several hours, I return to destroy the Elite Four. A Crystal Tauros takes out the Wish Cache and 2 Raging Bulls as he sets up a Future Sight. Conveniently, the Camerupt is next, so an Expert Belted Dive by On Purpose avoids the Future Sight and takes out the Camel. The Donphan survives a few dives and then takes out my Dolphin. At this low HP, I take the chance to boost Fire Gible's special attack with a Torch Song. Unfortunately, Dugtrio was next, and I don't want to die to a super fast Earthquake, so I bring out Buff Bull to one-hit KO the Triple Diglett. Rita's last Pokemon is a Clodsire, who becomes pure Ground type, but just falls in 2 Raging Bulls. This girl was a ground trainer, in case we missed it. After her defeat, she tries to lecture me about Pokemon and some other nonsense, but who cares? Bring out the next challenger, Poppy. I don't immediately start the fight though, since they gave me some time to heal. Poppy starts with this giant elephant, who I think is pure Steel type? I'm not entirely sure, but again, this is a blind run, so we'll just go with it. A Terastallized Raging Bull knocks it right out. This brings out a Corviknight, so let's give Pikachu a chance to knock out the bird with a Wild Charge. He fails, and then dies to a Brave Bird. If you had evolved, this wouldn't have happened, Pikachu. Since I know she's a Steel user now, I just send out Fire Gible to do what he does best. Torch Song, of course. I haven't mentioned how much I love this move in a while, so here it is. It's awesome. The Bronzong also dies to a Torch Song. Magnezone probably has Sturdy, and does survive one hit to set up a Light Screen. Next is a Tinkaton? What the heck is that? A little girl with a hammer, apparently. Now I have no idea what type this is, but it doesn't really matter because she's going to Terastallize it to Steel type anyway. After 2 turns of Stone Edge and Flamethrower, I end up the victor. That was pretty easy. They call in the next member of the Elite Four, and it's Larry? You can be here and be a gym leader too? That's like double dipping. He tells me he isn't using normal types this go around, instead it's flying. Which would be fine if, someone had actually evolved. Since he leads with Tropius, I bring out Fire Gible on a sunny day. Nice. And then kill with a Torch Song, of course. The Staraptor does a ton with a Brave Bird, but I survive and burn it with a Sun and Charcoal boosted Flamethrower. I decide to stay in for the Altaria, hoping that adding Fire Terastallize to the mix will make Flamethrower strong enough to knock it out. Which it does. Awesome. But this is the end of the road for my Croc, as an Oricorio outspeeds and takes him out. I give Lechonki's a turn, who barely survives 3 hits, but headbutts the bird to death. Pikachu comes out to try to take out this Crystal Flamingo, but to no avail. He dies to a close combat. Buff Bull also dies, because I thought he might outspeed. Still, the recoil from that Brave Bird takes out the Flamingo as well. Well, that's one way to win, I suppose. Just let him kill all my Pokemon until eventually dying to recoil. The last Elite Four member is Hassel, but my initial guess of him using Flying or Normal type doesn't make a ton of sense anymore. Hassel calls himself a dragon guarding a fortress. So I wonder what type he's going to use. I start with Lilbug against Noivern, which is obviously a bad matchup, but I don't have anyone else to switch to. Lilbug survives an Air Slash with literally 1 HP left to hit a Throat Chop and then a priority Sucker Punch before going down. A Choice Scarf Pikanu finishes off the bat. Buff Bull takes out the Poison Dragon in 2 Zen Headbutts after getting poisoned. The Flapple survives a hit and kills with a Dragon Rush after the poison damage. Fire Gible comes out, and what do you think I'm going to use? Torch Song, of course. The Haxorus almost kills me with a few crunches, but falls to Shadow Balls before he can succeed. Last is Baxcalibur. What the heck is that? He misses his first move, allowing me to hit him with a Shadow Ball before dying to a very weird animation. My only real hope here is Lechonki's, who barely survives a hit and responds with a Terastallized Double Edge that knocks out 2 Pokemon at the same time, officially beating the Elite Four. Everyone here is happy for me, of course, but none more so than Hassel, who goes into full blubber mode. Aren't Dragon Trainers supposed to be strong, reserve types? Besides Claire, I suppose. We don't talk about her. Now, it's on to the champion. Greta, obviously. Saw that coming from a mile away. For this iconic fight, I start with Fire Gible against her Espartha. I think this thing is psychic, and a Shadow Ball is a 1-hit KO. And Greta gives me encouragement as I defeat her. That's a bit weird, but okay. The Avalanche falls to a Torch Song, of course, as does the King Amit Pokemon, who I think is a Pawniard evolution. This Velouse might be concerning, but is also weak to a Shadow Ball. Am I really going to sweep the champion with only my starter? Her Go-Goat is simply more fodder to boost my special attack. And now we're on to her last Pokemon, Glimmora. No idea what that thing is, and I have no idea what she's going to Terastallize it into. I go for my own Terastallized Flamethrower, getting hit by an Earth Power in the process, and my hit is not very effective. So I'm guessing he's a Rock Pokemon perhaps? I decide to let Fire Gible die to bring out Buff Bull, who is outsped, but hangs on, and responds with 1 overkill, super effective close combat. Okay, I didn't quite sweep the champion with only Fire Gible, but it was really close. A Shadow Ball against that last Pokemon might have been able to do it. Once again, everyone gathers to say how proud they are, blah blah blah. But I still have one more fight, even though I am officially champion. That is a fight against Nimona, of course. We decide to meet after school in the parking lot, as middle schoolers tend to do. I forgot that she always starts with Lycanroc, so the first thing that I need to do is swap out for Buff Bull. I use 1 workup, Terastallize, and take out the dog with a Raging Bull. She taunts me with her fully evolved Pikanu, who almost kills me, and I respond in kind. I heal, because I'm allowed to do that, I keep forgetting, and I take out the Ponmot next turn. The longer than normal Dunsparce falls in a single hit. Next, she sends out Orthworm, who I've never seen before, but it doesn't really matter because Buff Bull is just going to use Raging Bull anyway. It just so happens to be super effective. Maybe he's a Rockworm, I suppose? Goodra is not a poison type, but I always think that it is. I don't know why I can't get this into my head. So that's why I use Zen Headbutt and Buff Bull dies. Lechonki's comes out to take a few hits, and once again takes out both himself and the enemy with a Double Edge. Man, that move has like a 200% kill rate at this point. We end the journey the same way it began, with a derpy Croc against her flowery kitten. She just so happens to have a Shadow Claw, which just so happens to crit, but Fire Gible survives and finishes off the cat with 1 last Flamethrower. And with that, I have officially become the #1 champion in the entire Paldea region. That was pretty awesome. Granted, it wasn't a Nuzlocke, so there wasn't any real question that I would complete it, but I think it was still interesting. Before we go though, there are a few things I want to highlight. First, Finis the Dolphin can evolve if you connect with other people via local or wireless. But again, I have no friends, so I can only admire Paraffin from afar. As for Pikanu, you need to walk 500 miles and then walk 500 more just to be Pawmot, which is a pretty cool use of the Let's Go feature in my opinion. And he learns a move that I'm fairly certain will be immediately banned in competitive gaming. Overall, even though I've only beaten about a third of the game so far, I am still a really big fan. Now, that's not to say that it's perfect, because there are certainly some glitches and graphical errors, and I'm sure you've heard plenty about that, but I still had a ton of fun. And if you like Pokemon, I'm confident you too will have fun in this game. Should I make another video where I show the Starfall part of the game as well as the Titans? Or would you rather I do a different video focusing on the gym leaders again, but this time as a Nuzlocke? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for at least one more Pokemon Scarlet video in the near future.